of us need to express ourselves. All of us yearn to be creative. But a lot of us have absorbed messages from the world and the way we grew up that have caused us to believe we're not good enough, we're not talented enough. Or if we try to sing or dance, we'll make a fool of ourselves, we'll be embarrassed. More deeply, we fear we'll embarrass ourselves to ourselves, that we'll prove we're not worthy. That's me, finishing up an hour-long solo piano recital that I performed from memory at age 17. Two years later, a professor told me that I had no future as a pianist. I wasn't good enough. I believed him, and it destroyed me. I entered into a long battle with bipolar disorder, PTSD from the trauma that comment caused me, deep shame, and low self-worth. I thought I was a total failure. Not long after that, I hit my head in a car accident, suffering a traumatic brain injury. Years after I'd given up music, concealing my history of music studies from people who knew me out of shame, I found myself at rock bottom. But strangely, it was that injury and the dire circumstances it caused in my life that allowed me to learn how to heal my trauma, to get over my fear of failure, and accept myself wherever I was. Eventually, I was able to create art and music freely to my heart's desire. I included my story in this book because while it is painful and very personal, I wanted to assert that emotional healing is possible even when the injury is severe. I titled the book after a mantra that I came up with at the peak of my mental health crisis. On Earth, I am safe. I feel that it conveys something my heart knew to be true, even in the midst of my confusion. It's safe to express myself. It's safe to create. It's safe even if I fail, because I'm in control of my response. My response to what I make, and my response to how others react to it. You have a heart of pure gold. Ask yourself, what's the next step? Notice the first thing that comes to mind. Consider that thought an instruction and follow it. Can you do that? Couldn't anyone? What if you could be inspired at any moment? What if you could access this inspiration and make something and be completely satisfied no matter how it turned out? What if you could do this often enough that you prove to yourself you're worthy, even if you're not talented? What if you prove to yourself you're more talented than you think you are, just because you got some practice and you didn't get in your own way? As I continued sharing my story, I found out that there are a lot of people suffering that way. I had no idea. I thought I was the only one. So, as I experienced that and started sharing the tools that I was using that I found were effective for me, I realized that these tools were effective for other people too. I have numerous people in my life and strangers and acquaintances that have told me once they applied the things that I taught them about accessing their creativity, it changed their lives. Because what it really boils down to is that we can heal ourselves through our own creativity. We can even heal our creative spirits through our creative spirits. There's just a lot of fear that gets in the way of that. And that can be really hard to overcome. But because I was so determined to overcome it, and because my ability to function in the world depended on that, I was able to discover some tools that really work to help people unblock and move beyond that fear and find out that creating and expressing themselves really isn't that risky after all. So if we can start this healing process by creating a safe space to make something and learning how to respond to that with acceptance and without judgment, whatever we've made, we can start to heal that innate sense of unworthiness and prove to ourselves that we are worthy, no matter how our artwork turns out. What I shared in this book are concrete, step-by-step tools for building trust in yourself and your intuition so that you can create freely and experience the joy and satisfaction of making exactly what you want to make exactly the way you want to make it. I included mental health tips to help soothe emotional distress, overcome fear, and use creativity as a means to peace